The content you're about to hear may be graphic in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, how I wonder what it's like to relax. See the sky down under. Hope my plans collapse. Oh, how I'm under the surface of my tears, falling down asunder the meaning of my years.
This is True Crime XS.
So, obviously, we have a thing for boats and cruise ships and things that happen at sea.
Yes.
And I promised we would bring this up again as things went. It's not really coming up from the perspective of us covering the story still, but it's in the news, so we can't really avoid it all that well, even if we tried. This is the death of Anna Kepner. It keeps spilling out weird nonsense. I understand he's underage. I get that. The stories that are popping into people and whatnot, they have not been fully grabbing my attention. What's been grabbing my attention is like people's reactions to everything.
Yeah.
Did you find anything interesting about this case so far? You mentioned a couple of things to me when we started talking about it recently.
Yeah, the most interesting thing is the fact that Anna's 16-year-old, they say stepbrother. I'm not entirely sure that her dad is actually married to his mom, but we'll just go with that. He has been he's been indicted, and he is not in custody. In fact, he's never been in custody.
Right.
And
he's too young to be in custody, right?
Correct, because her murder occurred on the high seas, and
that makes it a federal case.
Right. And the federal court system is not set up to house juveniles in murder cases.
Correct.
In fact, initially, he was charged under the Juvenile Delinquency Act.
Which would have made it just a family court case, but
basically,
a federal family district. Yeah.
And obviously, he had to be charged as an adult because the Juvenile Delinquency Act means, you know, after you're 21, it's over and you basically never did it, right?
Correct.
So to me, it's a huge deal that this kid who has been indicted for his stepsister's murder is out roaming around. It's also a big deal to the prosecutor and to Anna Kepner's family and a lot of other people. It's an interesting loophole sort of in the system, but this is, I think, really the only way that they can bring this crime to trial. They can't just pawn it off on Florida or any other state because they don't have jurisdiction.
Right. It would immediately be kicked for lack of jurisdiction.
Right. And so I think that they really are doing the best that they can. Now, in the most recent hearing, because essentially at first, when he had been charged, you know, he was just out on release and he's living with an uncle. And the prosecutor made a motion for a hearing for the same judge to rehear the matter on bond, right? Because the prosecutor wants him locked up. He's, you know, by everything we know about, which isn't a whole lot, I don't guess, but the allegations that the prosecutor laid out during the hearing, the second bond hearing, or I guess it was a motion to reconsider bond. I'm not really sure, but it was them bringing the issue back before the court again. The the prosecutor laid out quite a bit of the evidence that they have against him in their case because it was so brutal.
Yes, they did. I pulled a couple of different sources together. I looked at People had an article about this. I looked at some of the Pacer documents, but a lot of them still say sealed on the left, so I wasn't going to spend a lot of time and money downloading them right now. May 27th, 2026, we get this Chris Spargo People article. It says, new details about Anna Kepner's cruise ship death revealed in unsealed court documents. Anna Kepner was last seen entering cabin 8343 aboard the Carnival Cruise Line's Horizon at 7:38 p.m. on November 6, 2025. It's hard to believe it's that far back. This is according to court documents obtained by People. She would never emerge from that room. And the following morning, a member of the cruise's cleaning crew found the victim wrapped in a blanket stuffed underneath her bed. This is according to prosecutor Alejandra Lopez. She's from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida. She went on to say that it appeared someone had tried to hide her by partially putting her underneath the bed and then putting a box of life vests to cover the view of the body from the rest of the room. My guess is, like, when you walk in the room from, like, the hallway, you could see, like, pretty far down the room because they're usually long, narrow rooms, and he stuck something in front of it. Here's their quote. These are just a few of the new details being revealed in a recently unsealed transcript from a February hearing for the individual accused of Anna's murder, her 16-year-old stepbrother, Timothy Hudson. Anna's body was so well hidden that her own brother slept in their cabin that night and had no idea he was just a few feet away from his sister's corpse. That's going to haunt that kid forever. Anna's brother was the last person to see her alive prior to the alleged crime, with Lopez revealing he told investigators he saw his sister while making a quick pit stop at their cabin at 7:51 p.m. He did not see his sister when he returned approximately 4 hours later. When he returned to go to bed just after midnight, he could not get into the room at first. He told investigators that when he went to enter the room at 12:09 a.m., Timothy blocked him from coming in and made him wait in the hallway for approximately 2 minutes. So he gets in, he sleeps for 9 hours. He went back to running around the cruise ship with friends on the morning of November the 7th. Hudson, meanwhile, entered the room 3 times before Anna on November the 6th, leaving on just a handful of occasions in the next 18 hours. Lopez alleged in court that Hudson not only hid the body, but also destroyed Anna's cell phone before disposing of it in the ship's trash, which I have something to say about that. I think you do too here in a second. Anna's father, Christopher Kepner, and Hudson's mother, Chantel, have both said they have cut all ties with a 16-year-old after Anna's death. Okay. So his mom cut ties with him. I wonder what led to him being a murderer.
Well, I was going to say, like, I'm sure everybody knows that's not how that works, right? I mean, it does not absolve you of your son killing.
I'm no longer a parent. I've declared it to the world. Sorry, I'm picturing Michael Scott running around declaring bankruptcy in the office.
Right.
It says that Timothy Hudson had been living in the same home as Christopher Kepner, Chantel, his mom, and Anna Kepner. Was sent to live with a family member shortly after returning from the cruise and remains there while on pretrial release. He was first taken into custody in early February, at which time he was arraigned as a minor on charges of murder and aggravated sexual assault. A grand jury then indicted him on those same charges, which were then refiled so that Hudson could be charged as an adult. As a result, he's now facing the possibility of 2 life sentences if convicted of both crimes. The grand jury wrote in the superseding indictment that Hudson did knowingly and unlawfully perpetrate the willful, deliberate, malicious, and premeditated killing of Anna Kepner with malice aforethought. Further, the grand jury states that this occurred during the perpetration of an aggravated sexual abuse. Well, he's indicted. Got to move forward.
Once they decide to charge him as an adult, that's part of the problem with why it's been so difficult to get him into custody. Now, granted, he's got an ankle monitor on and he's living with his uncle, and his uncle, has said I'm taking responsibility for him.
Yeah, I mean, the federal juvenile justice system is deliberately limited in scope because the federal government doesn't want to have a lot of juvenile crimes on its place because 99.9% of them can be dealt with in state court.
Right.
But not if it happened on a boat.
There's no state jurisdiction for this particular case. The factors that take a defendant being tried under the Juvenile Delinquency Act versus being tried as an adult, it's a process, and it's almost like if they hadn't have followed it, they wouldn't be where they're at now.
I don't think I've ever seen a federal murder trial for someone under the age of 18.
You probably haven't, especially not one that took place in
At sea, 100% I have not seen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is uncharted territory. Like, pardon the pun, as far as like being at sea. It's stuff that doesn't happen, and they're doing the best they can. What happened at the hearing ultimately was the prosecutors or the marshals or whoever would be under their purview. They had set up, I don't know, arrangements or whatever you would call it for him to go into juvie in, like, I guess, Miami.
Yeah.
And the judge said, okay, well, before I make a decision on that, I'd like to hear from the marshals what the options are closer to his family, because apparently his attorney had said, hey, let's keep him.
They don't live near Miami.
Well, right. His attorney was like, let's keep him in Miami. And then the judge was like, well, I think he needs to be near his family. And so that's sort of where they left it. But when they went in, like, the judge initially said, hey, I don't typically review my own
rulings and orders.
He's like, I get it right the first time. And he wasn't even taking into account like everything that had changed. I realized that federal court judges don't typically deal with juvenile that are now being tried as adult murder cases.
Right.
It seemed a little, I don't know, obtuse, or it just seemed a little weird. Now, granted, I got this secondhand. I didn't see it actually happen. I got a recounting of it, and I thought perhaps they're missing the bigger picture, which the bigger picture is, like, if he committed this awful offense, he doesn't need to be out. And everything had been sealed up until the prosecutor laid it all out.
So a transfer in state court is not the same as a transfer in federal court.
There's two different concepts. So when just because his case is being tried as an adult, like, he still can't be housed with adults. He also can't be housed in solitary confinement.
Correct.
And so that's where, because essentially if he goes to a federal holding facility, there aren't juvenile federal holding facilities.
There are none at all.
So if he goes to an adult holding facility, then he's going to just by default be in solitary confinement because he's going to be the only kid there.
Correct.
And so they can't do that. And he also can't be housed with adults. So the only answer is he has to be held in a state facility.
Right.
While he's awaiting trial. Otherwise, he is out, right?
Yeah.
He has a GPS monitor or whatever that's called.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's a 16-year-old.
Well, I know, and that was that was his attorney's point. He's like, he doesn't have a car, he doesn't drive. Like, how is he going to go anywhere? And pre-trial holding is not supposed to be punitive.
Yeah.
It's just letting everybody get their ducks in a row. But I also heard, I believe the trial starts in June.
Yeah, that's the first. So there are really strict speedy trial and arraignment procedures for federal juvenile, like, at least to get the ball rolling. Does that make sense? Like,
I haven't really heard anything about like continuances or anything. So, I mean, honestly, by the time the judge makes a decision, it could be a moot point, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because we're going into June as it is. I don't know when the exact date is. And the way that they're doing the scheduling is weird because, like, he was like, I want the marshals to get back to me about this. But then, like, they didn't set a new hearing date, right?
I bet by the end of this year, like, he's already tried. At least like a firm date is started. Is that what you mean? Like his actual jury trial?
Well, it's literally next month. Well, I guess a couple days.
By the time it's now basically. But I'm saying they will have heard by the end of the year. The United States versus Timothy Hudson.
Yeah, my understanding is the trial is going to start very soon.
Yeah.
I realize that
I don't think it'll be June.
Well, the only thing pending before the court is trying to get him behind bars pre-trial. And the judge just keeps putting it off, which I think the judge doesn't know what to do.
Do you think this is a boring trial, like a straight up kind of like domestic-ish homicide between two step-siblings?
Well, if I'm going to be completely honest, I think that the kid probably got a hold of alcohol on the ship. I don't know how plausible that is. I know that it has come up already that he took medicine that, like, I think he had skipped maybe 2 doses of medication. And so if he had skipped 2 doses, I don't know if that's 2 days worth or I don't know exactly what that entails, but that's enough to, like, make you feel a little off, right?
Yeah.
Depending on whatever it is he takes. I think probably something for ADHD and then probably something to sleep. And he had skipped 2 doses of them. And if he was drinking alcohol, I think it's a snapped thing.
Did you notice, like, the accommodations?
Yeah.
Did you notice how
Yeah.
So somebody somewhere decided these 2 kids should sleep in a room together.
My understanding is that parents were across the hall and
with 2 other siblings.
Well, I think it was just one because it was Anna and 16-year-old Timothy and then a 14-year-old. And the 14-year-old was Anna Kepner's half-brother. Okay, so those 3. Where'd the
stepsister go, then?
She was with the parent.
Okay.
So the younger...
I see what you're saying. You're saying it was split 3 and 3. And that's the brother they're talking about in this description. It's a little brother. I got you. I follow what you're saying.
So it was the 14, 16, and 18-year-old in the room that had bunk beds and a queen-size bed.
Okay.
Anna was sleeping in the queen-size bed. The boys were on the bunk beds.
Okay.
Anna was 18. And so, technically it wasn't just children in a room. She was an adult.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way. Now that you say it that way, yeah. Okay. I follow it.
But the other thing was she was given the option of staying with her grandparents, which were a couple of floors up.
Yeah.
And she chose to stay with her half-brother. It's a confusing situation because if you see things laid out, the very first whiff of anything we got, like, official from an actual source came from family court filings, right?
Right. And the kid was Baker acted when they got back. We get that from family court filings, right?
Yeah, everything that we got, because everything else was sealed or there wasn't anything happening yet. But that immediately tells me that the divorce isn't final between the parents. Okay.
That's what I thought too. Thank you for saying it that way.
And
yes.
That means that the step-brother, step-sister situation, it's not even, like, valid for what I consider it to be. However, from what I can tell, her half-brother is the 14-year-old, and I know it's come out the step-brother is the 16-year-old, but they're not actually...
Well, it could be custody actions, not divorce actions.
Well,
but I see what you're saying. You're saying if it's divorce actions in family court, there's no way for them to be remarried without having been married in the first place. I thought they were. I thought I saw like stuff where Anna Kepner's mom was talking, and I was like, well, maybe they were just never married.
Well, the other thing is, so Anna Kepner has a biological mother. She then has a stepmother that was her who she considered to be her mother.
Right.
And so they had been divorced more recently, I guess. And so then there was the new stepmother.
Yeah.
So it's a different situation. The families are definitely blended. It's kind of, I don't know. It's a little bit weird as far as, it's not like the family came out and said like, we're married, he's her stepbrother. Like that was more of a like narrative explanation thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so we can't really fault anybody for that. I'm just saying, how relevant is it? I don't know. It could be relevant, I guess. But looking at this kid walking in and out of court, and I've never seen Anna Kepner to know like what size she was, I guess. It doesn't really look like this kid would be capable of physically doing what he's been accused of doing. But we also don't know, like she died from mechanical asphyxiation.
From an armbar.
And from
like that hold where you're like your physical forearm is across the throat of someone.
So wouldn't that be manual?
It would either be, I mean, he could be holding something down with that, but they described it as an arm bar hold, which typically that comes from the fact that like it's so completely compressed across, like there's damage to the side and there's damage to the trachea that indicates like the whole neck was compressed, which is unusual because with manual strangulation, they picture the sides being crushed and the hyoid can be broken depending on where you're holding it. But a mechanical strangulation is different because they're like talking about it from the perspective of something being used. And it says armbar hold in one of these conversations with the FBI and the U.S. attorney. They're like talking about the whole throat being flattened.
Right. And
does that make sense?
Yeah. And that would be, so I had thought that, and so that's like a crushed windpipe, right?
Yeah.
And then the prosecutor said it would have taken her 3 to 5 minutes to die. And so the implication there was like he had 3 to 5 minutes while he was killing her to think about what he was doing.
Right.
And this is the prosecutor trying to make the case for why he shouldn't be out. Obviously, the fact that you hold onto somebody's neck and throat for 3 to 5 minutes, cutting off their air, is quite a different story than something crushing her windpipe and her having her airway cut off with nothing that can be done about it.
Yeah.
There's two different things happening there. And so it plays into the viciousness of the crime. You went on a cruise recently.
I did.
What do you think of the fact that he could have killed her and not, like, would you have heard somebody being killed in the room next door?
No, would not have. I mean, let's be honest, like the phone that he destroys and throws in the trash is not going anywhere, which is so weird to me. Like, what does he think? It's just going to float away?
Well,
that's so weird.
Why didn't he throw it off the side of the boat?
Exactly. So the boat that I went on, not Carnival, but like, probably comparable in some ways, you could not hear anything from the parties in the next room at all. Like, even when they first deliver your luggage up to your stateroom, we had been early and we were there. Even when they like put all of our bags like right outside our door and bumped into stuff, we didn't hear that.
Interesting. So It's feasible that there could have been a knockdown drag out. I thought, based on his size, that more than likely she had to have been sleeping.
I would buy that to some degree. I pulled this article this morning before we started talking about this, and I was going to skip it because we were headed a different direction. But now I'm going to read some of it to you because I'm probably appreciate your perspective on it. So this is, I looked at it this morning, came out yesterday, May 29th, 2026. It's a weird one. It says, new documents reveal graphic details in Anna Kepner's rape murder on Carnival cruise ship. This is by Rachel Tucker from Fox 8, but the way I got it was kind of weird. It came from like the Fox News site, and then it took me out somewhere else. It says, newly unsealed documents reveal new details in the rape murder allegations against a 16-year-old Florida boy charged in his stepsister's death. Timothy Hudson, who was previously identified by initials, appeared in a Miami federal courtroom on Wednesday to face first-degree and aggravated sexual abuse charges, on which he is now being tried as an adult. Hudson was accused of raping his 18-year-old stepsister, Anna Kepner, during a family vacation in November before strangling her, leaving her body under the bed in the room they shared. He then began living with his uncle and two children, a 10-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl in Hernando County after the charges were initially filed in juvenile court. A transcript of February 6th detention hearing lays out evidence obtained by the prosecution, including security camera footage, cell phone records, and DNA evidence. According to prosecutors, the footage showed that Hudson and Kepner entered their shared stateroom around 7:30 p.m. the night before she was found dead. Cell phone records indicate Kepner was still alive and posting the Snapchat at 8:14 p.m., so that's about 45 minutes later. Prosecutors said the footage showed Hudson sticking his head out of the door at 10:13 p.m. and looking both ways before exiting the room. Records show Kepner's cell phone was carried to another deck where it was believed to have been ditched in a trash can. A cruise ship employee later found the phone in a garbage collection area. Prosecutors allege that Hudson raped Kepner based on the positioning of her clothing and DNA evidence. Kepner was reportedly wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants, and when investigators removed her pants, they discovered that her underwear was twisted and positioned on her genitals in a way that indicated she was sexually assaulted. DNA from a significant amount of grayish viscous fluid was found in Kepner's body. Match samples provided to detectives by Hudson. Court documents state that Kepner had sex with another male while on the ship, but his DNA was not found on her. And an autopsy report concluded that Kepner's cause of death was mechanical asphyxiation, and prosecutors allege Hudson strangled her to death with his hands. That's not exactly consistent, but that's okay. It could just be an error in how it's being translated by the media. Her neck was bruised. Both bruising and blood were discovered around her ear. Her toxicology report showed she had a therapeutic dose of butabital in her system, which is a sedative used in combination with other drugs like acetaminophen to relieve symptoms of tension headaches, which she apparently got this because she was having some pain from her braces, like on her teeth. That's a lot going on in this article here. It ends with Hudson's pleaded not guilty to murder and sexual assault charges.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what was laid out.
I always thought mechanical strangulation was ligature strangulation. I've not heard it used a lot with the word mechanical.
Well, I think that you're right. I think that there's been some, because it would be manual versus mechanical, and those words can sound very similar.
Right, but manual strangulation is typically hands.
Right, but what I'm saying is, it's only going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Or
I agree with that.
Unknown. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, so it's one or the other, but those words sound very similar.
Yes.
And so we won't know which one's which until whatever's on the autopsy report is what it is, right?
Right.
And I heard mechanical, but I've
read it a couple places, and I've also read the hands.
And honestly, I don't know, because I haven't actually seen the court filings. I've heard sort of a recount of what happened in court from somebody that was there, two people that are journalists. But beyond that, I didn't go look up the pacer. I didn't figure it was going to be available yet. That's another thing about this case that's kind of weird. It's been, stuff has been sealed or not coming up because of the previous juvenile status, and it's just kind of chaotic, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that is that odd. So she was sedated, I guess. You said it was so she was having pain from her braces.
Right.
And so she was taking something. So, okay, that's something that kind of bolsters his ability to attack her, even though he's just sort of a scrawn. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being descriptive. He's a scrawny kid, right?
Yeah, I saw she was 5'4", 160 something on like the somebody had posted something that looks like a kind of a screen grab of something related to the autopsy report. I don't know how accurate that is, but I saw it passing through, so I could see her being 5'4", 1 something.
Well, and if she's got a sedative, if she took a sedative, she wasn't feeling well, she was resting, that obviously leans more towards the fact that, it's plausible. The bottom line is, according to the prosecutor, they have surveillance footage that indicates, according to who went in and out of the room, he's the only one that could possibly have done it.
Yeah.
And
so it's not a whodunit.
It's absolutely not a whodunit. And
it's more of a what happened.
The defense attorney kept saying during the second motion to reconsider bond or whatever it was, that there were gaps or something to that effect. However, when asked to elaborate on it, he said he wasn't going to try the case during the hearing. People can take from that what they will, right?
Right.
I'm not sure where he's seeing gaps exactly, because we've got DNA, so, they could argue the consensual sex angle, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Then I guess aliens beaming in to the room.
Well, if it's truly mechanical, maybe they can argue positional asphyxiation. I think him poking his head out and destroying her phone kind of screws anything they wanted to do.
Well, I mean, that would just have to be explained in a plausible way, which I don't think that you can do that. But the idea would be they just have to explain the elements. It's going to be really hard. I don't think that anybody's going to buy the consensual sex thing, and it's really not a great idea. But that's really the only way they can explain his DNA, right?
Yeah, whatever is happening there is not going well for him. The DNA being there.
No, and it's timing-wise, he was the only person in the room.
Yeah, no, my guess is she insulted him in some way. He decided to take it out on her in a rape murder. So
that's a big leap for a 16-year-old, don't you think?
Man, hormones do all kinds of crazy things to teenage boys and girls. I'm not saying, like, you throw the alcohol into that mix and the ADHD meds and not having taken your sleeping medication like trazodone or whatever.
That's what I was thinking. I think it was a toxic combination of being off track from his routine, like not taking medicine he should have been taking, if he was drinking.
And there is alcohol everywhere on a cruise ship. I can confirm that. It is very easy to just stick your hand out and a drink will appear.
Well, and to me, I feel like it's got to be a number of, like, just, a series of very unfortunate things that occurred that culminated in this terrible murder, right?
Right.
And I don't really know what I think about that. Obviously, it's not an excuse, but I feel like that's a terribly hard lesson for all of them to learn, right?
Yeah. Oh, agreed. 100% agreed.
And I don't know what kind of, if it's a facade or if it's for real. I believe that it's unlikely her father would have put her in a situation that he thought anything like this could have happened. I don't think if he thought that the stepbrother was dangerous, that he would have been like, sure, stay in the room with him. I
don't think so. I mean,
I don't see a father doing that.
No, that's a terrible idea. I don't think they. I just wondering how much time they'd had to see the two of these kids interacting, because they're still in the middle of the family custody case.
And see, that's another thing I don't know, because it's so confusing with the fact that one of the things was, I guess it was that one of the parents was concerned about him being around the other daughter, I guess. I guess that's his sister. Like,
I don't know how much of that is accurate and isn't. Like, I saw something where it kind of was like he had been abusive or maybe sexually abusive.
Well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is there was a concern initially. That's why he went to the uncle's house, was because there was a concern about other minor children.
Yeah.
But
I thought you were talking about internet speculation. You're talking about stuff from the family court case.
Right. And part of it was the fact that there were other kids in the home and he was possibly dangerous. Now, granted, the uncle has 2 children and he's married. But I don't know, for whatever reason, I guess it's working. It may be harder at his uncle's house than it would ever be in juvie. Who knows, right? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. There is no juvie for him.
Well,
there's not a lot of state contracts for keeping a juvenile delinquent status in a federal case child, for lack of a better word, in detention. Like, in most states, there's barely a way to keep a juvenile in custody. You can. It's got to be some kind of like heavily aggravated murder. Well, and this is pretty close to that.
My understanding was they had options available in Miami or the county or whatever, because that's where that's the courthouse they were in, right? That district. But the judge said, okay, so that's an option. Now I want to know, what are the options in this other county where he lives, or I don't know if where his dad lives is the same county his uncle lives or whatever.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
I don't know about that. But so the judge was like, okay, well, I want to know what the options are there. And so it was basically he just took everything under advisement and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And part of the frustration is, like, this kid keeps walking out of court. And
why is there frustration with that? That's what's supposed to happen with juveniles.
Well, I'm not saying I'm frustrated with it. I'm saying that the prosecutor went to the extent of explaining kind of their side of the narrative, I guess. And it was shocking, right? The narrative of the story was...
But it's also exaggerated for the effect of being the prosecutor trying to get this kid into custody.
Yeah, I would say, but it went from being sealed, so no information, right?
Right.
To this is the account, and this is why he should be in custody. And so I don't see... The judge even said, like, if you hadn't have come in under the Juvenile Delinquency Act, if you were an adult at the beginning of this, you would absolutely be in jail. And so it's kind of a tough balancing act, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's going to be a disaster. And I'm here for it. I'm here to watch the disaster part of it. I hate that she died in all of this, and it is fascinating to me that some cases leave a particularly wide wake of disaster behind them as they go through the system.
It's like never ending here.
Yeah.
The circumstances leading up to it had to have been like just the right amount of like bad things, bad clashes happening. And it's bleeding right over into the adjudication of it, because it's like, okay, you were out on the high seas and this, that, and the other, and we don't know what to do, right?
Well, I'm always kind of surprised at like where maritime cases land, because I know somebody out there is going to be like, it's because of this map they have. It's not it's random. Like, this could have ended up in the Southern District of New York or in Norfolk or like any number of places based on the fact that like the ship's not flagged in the U.S. at all.
I think that it's in Miami mostly because like he's not in custody and he lives in Florida.
Right. Like, we got to go to a court somewhere, so here's where we're going.
Right. And I feel like that's what's going on there. But I think that the judge's thought is, the other thing is they actually have an argument for the fact that this happened, I think November, is that what you had said earlier? It happened back in November. And
November 6th, yeah.
And he's been out this whole time. And this situation has worked, right? So they've also got that, the defense has that argument to make as far as like why there's no need for him.
Right.
And, you know, the other,
Your Honor, has anyone died so far?
and the other thing is his father, so not Anna's dad, but his father and his uncle, who it's a paternal uncle, so they're brothers.
Right.
They would both sign like a financial bond.
Why should they have to do that on a juvenile?
They were saying that because the prosecution is asking the judge to reconsider.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So they're going, well, wait, you know, we're so confident in this position, we'll both sign it.
And nothing.
Nothing has happened.
They didn't require them to yet. And I don't think they should. I think, like, you want to do something about it and put them in custody, get the lead out, speed the trial up a little bit. Because they should. In this type of case, like, the autopsy's done. All the DNA matching has apparently been done since February based on what the prosecutor told us. Let's get out there and do this, because like if what they're describing in the February transcript that have sort of been copied and pasted from Fox and different places that I'm looking at, then like maybe June is the right time for this trial to happen. You know what I mean? And if you want him in custody, that's how you get him in custody. You convict him.
Right. And I guess that's what's going to happen.
It's going to be fascinating. This is going to be so fascinating.
Well, we're not going to get to see it.
I know we can't see any of it. But you've been wanting to talk about this cruise thing. I wanted to talk about this cruise thing. We're definitely coming back to talk about this cruise thing again if there's a trial. I had one more thing today. Do you remember us covering a case a long time ago called the Sundrop bottling murders?
I remember us talking about it, yeah.
It's been a long time. We had covered it because it just came up in a couple of timelines that we liked. It's a North Carolina case, and I think what we had pulled was from like Reddit and Web Sleuths. But the long and the short of it was there was an $85,000 reward for a gunman in this double homicide. So in 2008, somebody walked into the Sundrop Bottling Company down in Concord, North Carolina, which is close to Charlotte, for those of you who aren't super familiar. They killed two people. So whoever this person was, they shot and killed Donna Barnhart, who had worked there forever, and Daryl Knowles. Daryl Knowles was in there applying for a job. He was in his 40s. No one witnessed the crime. Police never made an arrest. All the local newspapers talked to family for years and years and years. At one point, somebody thought they had seen a person leaving either the parking lot or the building, and the police thought that might be a person of interest, so they had released a composite drawing. The widow of Mr. Knowles, the man who was applying for a job, his widow's name was Tressie Hackett Knowles. She was charged with embezzling. It was not related to this, but like it gets brought up in one of the local papers, like it's, something that could be related to it. The police said they had delayed the arrest, but it's actually from a 2004 case. This has been a fascinating case for me. It's one of those truly weird, like, is it random kind of cases? The composite they put out for the Sundrop killer is what they called him. It's a long time ago. It's like 18 years ago now they put the composite out. It was pretty generic. It looked like a young, light-skinned black guy with a hat and kind of like fuzzy hair and a fuzzy mustache. What's wild is, guess what happened?
They got to find out that the guy actually looked like the composite.
He looks exactly like the composite. They arrested him. He's been arrested a lot. It is a very unfortunate arrest. I'm glad he was arrested, but it's not going to go anywhere. I'll get to why in a second. He's been arrested 14 times out in Washington State and Oregon. The suspect was arrested, I think Monday they got an arrest warrant for him, and they arrested him maybe Thursday or something like that. That doesn't matter. End of May 2026, they arrested 43-year-old Johnny Stephen Talbert of Port Angeles, Washington. What a weird thing there, right?
Right.
To be literally all the way as far away across the country as you could be. Talbert is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, a count of armed robbery. This is related to the killings of 59-year-old Donna Barnhart, who had been an employee for 18 years, and 44-year-old Daryl Knowles, who was literally just applying for a job. Wrong place, wrong time. He's in the Collin County Jail out in Washington on this fugitive charge. Salisbury Post and Charlotte Observer had pulled his police reports. I had dug into him prior to this, but I'm going to read their version. I'm not sure if everything I have is publicly releasable, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it. It said a police report obtained by the Charlotte Observer and a records request outlined the path to Talbert's arrest. Port Angeles police officer Joshua Powell was contacted by Detective Jason Higgins from the Concord Police Department in late 2025 related to this case. He asked if I was familiar with Johnny Talbert, or responded I was familiar with Talbert from my own contacts on patrol, as well as the fact that Talbert is frequently contacted by Port Angeles Police Department patrol. That's what Powell was writing in this report. Talbert had been contacted by Concord police shortly after the crimes in 2008, but fled the state after his arrest, which is not 100% true because he has arrests in North Carolina along the way. So he may have fled, but he's come back and forth since then. He has arrests that have been occurring since November 2011 and at least 2 felonies. But he looks just like the weird, almost cartoonish composite drawing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he looks as much like the composite as any suspect could.
Yeah. Unfortunately, so I dug through West Coast records. Clallam County has a lot of records for Mr. Talbert. It appears that he has been adjudicated incapable to proceed and incompetent multiple times at different places. It could be a ruse because a lot of those are smaller level charges, but I think he's a guy suffering from probably substance issues and mental illness. And that's going to be really unfortunate if both of those people just died because somebody was kind of losing it for a moment on 2 strangers, one of which is just literally applying for a job.
Man, that is the worst.
Yeah. I did look up Tressie Knowles, the wife that was charged with the embezzlement thing.
Yeah.
She got a conviction, but she also got probation on a felony. And that's been over for a long time. And I just wonder about people like that sometimes. But I tried to look up a little more about Johnny Talbert, and I noticed that there's certain files when I look through them in terms of court systems, when you're on the inside of the court system, as opposed to what's usually the outer-facing interface, or if you look at them through private investigative databases like CLEAR.
Right.
Sometimes you can't see what happened, but you can see a file exists, and a lot of states use CR is criminal, CV is civil, right. SP is special proceeding, T is just a transcript exists for some kind of hearing. He has a lot of what appear to be files in mental health court or mental health proceedings, like guardianship or commitment proceedings. So my guess is he may be found responsible here, but it's probably going to turn out to be even sadder than it already is, because his life is also going to be tragic and sad. Does that make sense? I don't say that about a lot of defendants in this type of murder.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's really sad if that ends up being the case. But if he's having, but I guess that was after. Was that after the guardianship or whatever?
No, some of them are before.
Well, so
It depends on the jurisdiction.
I wonder what happened, because it seems like how many times do you go to have somebody appeal to take care of you? You see what I'm saying?
Oh, I mean, you mean like in terms of being back out in the world?
Well, right. Like if you need,
Some people, it just means they have some person in their life that cares about them. It's usually like a mom or an aunt or a grandma that's trying to make sure that this person can get the care that they need. But like, just because they're trying to get a guardianship over you doesn't mean you're going to be put away into an institution. It means they want to have control over helping you with your decision making sometimes.
well, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So that doesn't mean you're not running around with a gun trying to procure money and substances.
Is that not part of decision making?
I don't think grandma's going to let you do that if she gets guardianship over you.
That's what I'm saying.
But if grandma has guardianship over you at the time that you do that, and like she just slipped out and ran away, I'm not entirely certain, one, that grandma can be charged for the murder you just committed or double homicide you just committed, and two, right, that she knew. But also, I'm not sure how responsible you are for the homicides in terms of like, are we going to go for the death penalty? It might be more of a, wow, it's time to finally give this gentleman a place to live for the rest of his life.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like how many times, it just doesn't seem like something that should be repetitive, right?
Correct. Agreed with that. I agree with that. And not only that, this is like one of those things that people don't understand is in most jurisdictions and in GRI, which means if you were found not guilty by reason of insanity, if your jurisdiction has a verdict like that, that's not there you go, there's the door, we'll see you later. If you are found by a judge or jury to be not guilty by reason of insanity, your next 20 years have been decided. You're going to be staying in a very comfortable place where they can help you with whatever has ailed you. But you're not going to be out wandering around in society to do whatever you did to other people.
Yeah, well, and I think that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah. So my guess is that's what's happened here. I don't know that for sure. It just kind of looks like it. But it says that they arrested him Thursday the 21st. They knew exactly where he was. He did not cause any problems. He just came into custody. As far as I can tell, he's still sitting there now. But will be coming back to North Carolina to be tried for the double homicide, which were known as the Sundrop bottling murders. And I thought that was just amazing.
Do you have any idea what led to, what was the evidence?
They knew that it was him. I think he left something behind. They wanted to question him but couldn't find him. Okay. He's had all this police contact over the years. So my guess is somebody got one of those part-time cold case gigs and was like, why did nobody ever follow up on the fact that this guy left his hat laying there?
Okay. Well, I didn't know if it had been disclosed and I had missed it, but it was just
I haven't seen
a closer look at the case, right?
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things that they had a piece of evidence they didn't realize they had, and they were like, let's run that. Because it said that the reason they had the conversation in 2025 is Concord police were following up on previously undeveloped leads and re-examining old evidence. And when they say two things like that, it's because they're maybe not wanting to disclose everything they did, I think.
Right.
But my guess is it's a mixture of the two. Like, why did nobody ever find Johnny?
Exactly.
To have that conversation? Because, like, in his mugshot from last year, he still looks like the composite picture.
Well, right. I mean, honestly, I think that it could have been off the composite alone. If they had just because if you see the guy and you're looking for somebody, I mean, it's a good enough match to look into it, Yeah.
It's sad. I saw people commenting online about the sketch. I have to tell you, like, I've never seen a composite sketch get it more right. And I'm going by pictures from the time. The pictures now are a little harder to look at. He looks rough. the more recent arrest, I think he knows he committed a murder, and I think it's worn on him.
Well, yeah, especially like those circumstances it was a sad situation. He's stealing vending machine change.
Yeah. Wow. I got nothing else today. You got anything else you want to share with the people?
No, I think I'm good.
Special consideration was given to True Crime Excess by LabrattiCreations.com. If you have a moment in your favorite app, please go on and give us a review or a 5-star rating. It helps us get noticed in the crowd. This is True Crime XS.
You fall like the stars. I break things like guitars. Thick skin, no scars. We're in trouble, we took it too far. I don't want to go, but it's 'cause I'll disappoint ya. It's all I've ever dreamed of, something I cannot let go of. I hate the competition, this culture's like a gym, and I lost the motivation to get fit in your expectations.
True Crime Excess is brought to you by John and Meg. It's written, produced, edited, and posted by John and Meg. You can always support True Crime Excess through Patreon.com, or if you have a story you'd like them to cover, you can reach them at TrueCrimeAccess.com. Thank you for joining us.